Most people believe success is about talent, luck, or working harder than everyone else. But history tells a darker story. The world does not reward the most deserving. It rewards the most aware. Look closely at the people who rise while others remain invisible. They understand something the majority refuses to see. Power is rarely given. It is quietly taken. From ancient courts to modern boardrooms, the game has never changed. Trust is fragile, appearances are weapons, and perception often matters more than truth. The ones who win are not always the strongest. They are the ones who see the hidden patterns behind human behavior. You were taught to be honest, agreeable, predictable, yet the world moves according to unspoken rules, rules that decide who is respected and who is ignored. This is not about becoming cruel. It is about becoming impossible to manipulate, because the moment you understand how people truly think, their fears, their desires, their silent calculations, you stop being a piece on the chessboard. You become the player, and once you see the game, you can never unsee it. Level 1. The dangerous illusion of being liked. Since childhood, you were conditioned to seek approval. Good grades earned praise. Obedience earned acceptance. Slowly, you learned a powerful but limiting belief. If people like you, life will open its doors. But respect and likability are not the same currency. In fact, the more desperate someone is to be liked, the easier they are to control. Their fear of rejection becomes a leash others can pull whenever they want. Observe carefully. The person who says yes to everything is rarely valued. The one who protects their time, their energy, and their boundaries carries an invisible authority. Psychologically, humans admire what feels slightly out of reach. Familiarity comforts us, but scarcity commands respect. This is why powerful individuals never over-explain, never chase validation, and never rush to prove their worth. Their restraint creates gravity. When you stop needing approval, something shifts. Your voice becomes steadier. Your decisions become clearer. People begin to measure their words around you, not because you demanded respect, but because your presence quietly required it. The truth is simple. The moment you prioritize respect over approval is the moment others start seeing you differently, and it raises an uncomfortable question. Are you living to be liked or to be remembered? Level 2. The mimic. They wake, not completely, but enough to sense that the world operates by hidden rules. This is where they enter the second stage, the mimic. The mimic has glimpsed the game, yet he does not control it. He understands that intelligence attracts status, respect, influence, but instead of building a mind of his own, he borrows one. He copies voices, he imitates ideas, he studies the surface and calls it depth. You have seen him before. The dinner table intellectual who decorates conversations with complex words he barely understands. The loud moralist chasing applause rather than conviction. The collector of famous quotes who recites wisdom, but never lives it. At this level, intelligence becomes theater, a carefully crafted mask designed for the approval of others. Titles are pursued not for mastery, but for recognition. Knowledge is displayed, not embodied, and the danger here is quiet. The mimic begins to feel superior to those still asleep. He tells himself he is aware, evolved, different. But this too is a dream, a brighter one, yet still an illusion. He does not generate light, he reflects it. Deep down, he fears one thing above all: exposure. Challenge him to think originally, and tension appears. Ask him to create, and hesitation follows. Remove the audience, and the performance collapses, because a reflection cannot exist without something to mirror. But discomfort has a strange intelligence of its own. Slowly, the mimic grows tired of performing. He starts noticing reality without decoration, without filters, without the need to impress. For the first time, he stops asking, "How do I appear?" and begins asking, "What actually works?" That question changes everything. It marks the painful crossing into the next stage, where emotion steps aside and calculation takes its place. Level 3, the calculator. The calculator moves differently. Cold, precise, strategic. Validation loses its grip. Outcomes become the only language that matters. The world is no longer seen as fair or unfair, only as a network of incentives, risks, and opportunities. The old thinkers understood this well. The lion cannot detect traps, and the fox cannot scare away wolves. To survive, one must learn to be both. The calculator becomes the fox first. He anticipates reactions before they happen. He studies patterns in silence. While others speak to be noticed, he listens to understand leverage. Conversations stop being casual exchanges. They become sources of information. Timing becomes a weapon. Patience becomes armor. He learns when to remain invisible and when to step forward with undeniable presence. Emotion no longer drives his decisions. Clarity does. And this clarity elevates him, but it isolates him too. Because once you see the hidden motives behind smiles, the negotiations beneath kindness, and the quiet competitions inside friendships, innocence does not return. Many calculators climb quickly, not through effort alone, but through intelligent positioning. They understand proximity to power, the value of reputation, the art of saying little while signaling much. They win often. Yet a subtle prison forms around them. When every moment becomes strategy, life turns into an endless sequence of moves and counter-moves. Trust feels naive. Vulnerability feels dangerous. Power is gained, but freedom remains distant. And standing above the sleepers and the mimics, the calculator senses an unsettling truth. Strategy can help you dominate the game, but it cannot help you transcend it. The ascent is far from over. Level 4, the operator, the lion. The calculator understands the rules, but understanding is not the same as control. Sooner or later, he recognizes a hard truth. Reacting to the world, no matter how intelligently, still means living within its boundaries. To rise further, he must stop adapting to reality. He must begin shaping it. This is where level 4 emerges. The operator, the lion. The lion does not move for approval, nor does he waste energy on survival alone. His actions are driven by direction, clear, deliberate, undeniable. While others analyze possibilities, he creates outcomes. Where the calculator maneuvers, the lion commands. His presence alone reorganizes the environment. Rooms shift when he enters them. Conversations recalibrate. Uncertainty gives way to structure. He is rarely loved, but deeply respected, because the lion represents something most people quietly crave: certainty in a chaotic world. Decisions that trap others in endless hesitation feel natural to him. Pressure sharpens him rather than breaking him. Responsibility, which many experience as weight, becomes his instrument of expansion. Conflict does not intimidate him, it reveals him. But power that stands in the open carries its own danger. The lion is visible, and visibility attracts challengers. Every strength becomes observable. Every weakness becomes traceable. His influence is tied to his physical presence, his stamina, his focus. Should he slow down? Should he misstep? There are always wolves watching the rhythm of his breathing. His empire depends on execution, not transcendence. And eventually, a deeper realization begins to surface. What if the greatest power is not the one everyone sees, but the one no one can detect? That question opens the door to the next evolution, one far quieter and far more dangerous. Level 5, the puppeteer. By now, force feels inefficient. The puppeteer has witnessed what visibility costs. He understands that direct dominance invites resistance, but invisible influence flows uninterrupted. So he steps back from the spotlight. and learns to move the light itself. The puppeteer operates in psychological terrain most people never notice. Desire, fear, ambition, insecurity. He studies them with almost surgical attention. Instead of pushing against the world, he redirects it, gently, precisely, quietly. Where the lion confronts, the puppeteer persuades. Where the operator issues commands, the puppeteer designs choices. People believe they are acting freely. They rarely see the architecture beneath their decisions. To him, personalities become instruments. Calculators provide strategy. Lions provide force. Mimics spread narratives. Sleepers maintain stability. And the orchestra plays without ever seeing the conductor. This level brings extraordinary leverage, but also an unexpected cost. Distance. Because when you begin to recognize the invisible strings guiding human behavior, trust becomes complicated. Connection feels layered. Authenticity grows harder to recognize. He wears many faces, yet fully inhabits none. Powerful, but untouchable. Present, yet ghost-like. Many who reach this height assume they have discovered the ultimate advantage. That invisibility is the final form of power. But a quiet tension remains. If you must constantly guide the game, are you still inside it? Soon the puppeteer senses something profound, almost unsettling. True freedom may not come from mastering the board, but from stepping beyond it entirely, and above strategy, above force, above manipulation. There exists a level very few ever dare to approach. Level 6, the architect. The lion commands, the puppeteer influences, yet both remain confined within the architecture of the world. Then comes a realization so rare that most never even sense it. True dominance is not about playing the game well. It is about designing the game others must play. Welcome to Level 6, the architect. The architect no longer thinks in terms of moves or manipulation. He sees patterns beneath patterns, the invisible frameworks that dictate behavior long before decisions are made. While others focus on winning today, he engineers decades. Where the puppeteer guides individuals, the architect constructs systems, organizations, institutions, cultures, networks. He anticipates reactions before people are even aware they will have them. Incentives are arranged. Pathways are structured. Friction is reduced here, increased there. Without issuing a single command, he makes certain outcomes feel natural, even inevitable. People call it momentum. He calls it design. At this level, power becomes environmental. He does not chase recognition because recognition is a distraction. Applause is noise. Visibility is vulnerability. Instead, he remains positioned behind the structure itself, felt everywhere, seen nowhere. Empires rise from his blueprint, and often history forgets his name while living inside his ideas. Success does not intoxicate him. Failure does not wound him. Both are data, signals refining the system. Emotion is acknowledged, but never permitted to steer the architecture. Yet such elevation demands a price few are willing to pay. Distance. When you begin to see humanity as variables within a grand design, relationships subtly transform. Attachment softens, sentiment yields to clarity. He still understands emotion, perhaps more deeply than anyone, but refuses to be ruled by it, supremely powerful, yet still tethered. Because even the architect, for all his brilliance, remains connected to what he builds. Creation becomes a quiet form of attachment. And eventually, a question emerges, unsettling in its simplicity. What exists beyond power itself, beyond influence, beyond creation, beyond control? There is one final ascent, a level so misunderstood that many mistake it for absence, when in truth, it is absolute sovereignty. Level 7, the void. Strip away the empire, remove the audience, silence the need to influence, To construct, to command, what remains? Very few ever discover the answer. The void is not a ruler, not a manipulator, not even a creator. He is free, completely. The void has released attachment in all its forms. Ego, validation, possession, even the hunger for legacy. He owns nothing, yet nothing owns him. Fear finds no grip. Envy finds no entry. Manipulation finds no leverage because the void does not react. He observes, and in observation, he becomes untouchable. People struggle to understand him because he reflects whatever stands before him, a mirror rather than a force, unpredictable, unreadable, impossible to corner. Yet do not mistake stillness for weakness. The void can descend at will. He can command like the lion when action is required, strategize like the fox when danger appears, influence like the puppeteer when subtlety is needed, design like the architect when futures must be shaped, and when the moment passes, he returns to silence. This is the ultimate sovereignty, not the ability to control everything, but the liberation from needing to. Most will never approach this level. The visible rewards of power seduce them first: status, applause, recognition, influence. They build identities around these things, guarding them endlessly. But the one who walks within the fortress of his own mind commands reality precisely because he is no longer dependent on it. Now pause and turn inward. Where do you truly stand? The uncomfortable truth is that many drift between mimicry and calculation, seeking approval while trying to outplay systems they barely understand. Awareness alone already separates you from the masses, but awareness is only the doorway. Ascent demands friction. You will meet resistance from the world, and more dangerously, from the version of you that prefers comfort. Do not chase approval. Do not rush to explain yourself. Stand steady. Observe deeply. Act with intention. Every challenge endured. Every silence chosen over reaction. Every decision rooted in principle rather than impulse. Brick by brick, they construct the inner fortress. And inside that fortress, you become untouchable, not through force, not through manipulation, but through mastery of self, because knowledge without execution is vanity. The climb from mimic to lion, from fox to architect, from architect to the void, is a path few attempt and fewer survive. But the one who does emerges sovereign, unshaken by chaos, unreachable by pressure. So ask yourself honestly, are you ready to ascend? Are you willing to abandon illusion, release the craving for validation, and face the solitude that true independence requires? Your level is not assigned, it is chosen. Your ascent is not granted, it is built. Step forward and forge a mind no one can touch. If this opened your eyes, don't let it close with this video. Subscribe, because the mind that refuses to evolve is already falling behind. And before you go, tell me in the comments, what level are you on right now? Not where you wish to be, not where you pretend to be, where you truly stand. Because the moment you identify your level is the moment your ascent begins. Join this channel, and step by step, we build the mind others cannot control.